We're just checking on whether we have
Yeah,
a
a quorum.
quorum yet. Good evening, everyone. We do?
Good evening.
Hi.
Evening.
I think we do
We
have a
need
quorum.
10. Yeah, we need 9 or 10.
Yeah, which
We do have.
we're all set. All right. So I'd like to call to order the Pickering School Building Committee. Roll call, please.
Okay. Mayor Nicholson,
Present.
Brian Castellanos,
Present.
Deb Ruggiero,
Present.
Diana Chakutis,
That- Councilor Chakoudas is present.
Is present.
Lori Makua, sorry. Jessica Gerardo,
Present.
Jim Ridley, John Ford, Joe Smart,
Present.
Karen Miller,
Present.
Kevin Ritterhouse,
Present.
Lauren Drago,
Present.
Lorraine Gately,
Present.
Michael Bertino,
Present.
Michael Donovan,
Present.
Molly Cohen,
Present.
Peter Kolakitis, Rich Marlin,
Present.
Rick Starbird,
Present.
Stephen Smith, Tom Mannion,
Present.
Tom McGee, Wayne Lozey, that's it.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. I'll turn it over to you, Lynn. I think you have some slides to walk us through with the
I
agenda.
do.
Great.
Hold on one second. My screen doesn't want to pop up. Sorry, having trouble popping it up. Got it. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'll put it in slideshow mode. Okay, welcome everybody. We have some good news to share for you. First tonight, though, we're gonna go through some administrative actions. I just wanted to check on the status of the SBC roster to MSBA. And then we need to go through approval of the meeting minutes. I'll give you a project budget update, and then we'll talk about our results of the designer procurement and a little bit about schedule. We have a short meeting tonight, but we did need to make changes to the SBC roster, and we have to get it into MSBA. And I'm not sure if who the holder of the original letter is. I'm sure it's the mayor's office, probably.
Yeah, we can coordinate with you.
Yeah, so I'm happy to submit it on your behalf, but just looking for the original letter.
Okay.
And then the next is approval of the August 17th SBC meeting minutes. You should have received that with your meeting materials last night.
So I believe I was marked as not being in attendance and I was there, so I had trouble kind of seeing I think I wasn't checked in. I think I got there late or something.
Okay,
Rich Marlin, by the way.
okay, we'll make that amendment. Any other comments or changes needed? Would someone like to make a
I'll make a
motion to
motion.
approve as amended?
I'll make a motion to approve as a.
Second.
Okay.
Roll- Do we need to
wanna
do a roll call because this is on virtual? Yeah.
Hold on, I just need to let in a few more people. Okay. Tim, are you on? Can you do the roll call? Because it's hard for me to change the screen.
Yep, I'll do it. Let me just pull it up quickly. Okay, Mayor Nicholson,
Yes.
Brian Castellanos,
Yes.
Deborah Ruggiero,
Yes.
Diana Chakoudas,
Yes.
Flory Makua, not here. Jessica
Yes.
Dorado,
Yes.
Jim Ridley. I believe John Ford's not here either. Joseph Smart,
Yes.
Karen Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Rittenhouse,
Yes.
Lauren Drago,
Yes.
Lorraine Gately,
Yes.
Michael Bertino, Michael Donovan,
Yes.
Molly Cohen.
Yes.
Did Peter come in just now, Lynn, or?
I don't know.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
it's me,
All right, Peter Kolakidis.
present.
And this is for approving the meeting minutes.
Oh, I apologize. I had difficulty logging on, but I approve them.
Okay. Rich Marlin,
Yes.
Rick Starbird,
Yes.
Stephen Smith, Tom Mannion,
Yes.
Tom McGee, and Wayne Lawsey. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Next up is status of the budget. And the reason I wanted to bring your attention to this is that we've committed 16% to date, and that is the OPM's contract. We do have a line item for the architects. We have 990,000 in that budget. And we will be negotiating with the architect coming up for their contract. So once we get that contract approved, we'll be making a commitment against that budget line as well. And to date, we have expended 2%. So next is the results of the designer selection process. I don't know if Mayor or you or one of the other DSP local representatives want to talk a little bit about what occurred at the designer selection process.
Sure. Yeah. Be happy to. The DSP representatives were myself, Mr. Donovan, and Superintendent Ruggiero, and we based on the discussions we've had with this group about the attractiveness of a model school, we're very interested in working with RDA because they have the model school that they developed with the Marshall project, and the only other submission did not have a model school to draw on, and so it would have been a different process that would have been not as not as fast. And so we shared that recommendation with the full committee, the MSBA committee. And as you can see from the results that were up there, we were, I think, very successful. We got the 11-1 vote for RDA. And I think as a result of the overwhelming support and sort of understanding of the type timeline that we're pushing for, we were permitted by the committee to move straight to the selection of RDA, which I think will save us a little bit of time. So, yeah.
Yes, as Mayor Nicholson said, they didn't, they allowed us not to go to interviews, which were scheduled on October 4th. So that does save us time and helps us get going a lot faster with the process. Just a little bit about what the next steps are now that we have RDA as our architect. We'll begin fee negotiations with the architect. I spoke with Gene Raymond from RDA yesterday, and he's going to be developing a work plan. And from that work plan, he's going to put together a fee proposal, and we'll also, I've asked him for a list of the consultants he plans to use in the feasibility study phase. So we'll look at all of those items as we negotiate for his contract. Once we have a contract that the city is happy with, we'll make an award to Raymond Design Associates, and then once it's signed, we'll submit the contract to MSBA. And then at our next SBC meeting, we'd like to do an introduction of RDA. And hopefully by that time, the contract will be ready and they'll be ready to work. But I wanted to talk a little bit in advance of having them on about what the next steps are for this committee, and that's the preliminary design program. For the most part, it is the development of the educational plan and the analysis of all available sites. We do have a head start on both of those things based on the last go round with Pickering. So that is another thing that will help us, go a little faster with this time around. A quick overview of what the preliminary design program is. If anyone's interested, MSBA has a pamphlet on what the feasibility study is. And the feasibility study is made up of 2 phases: the preliminary design program phase, which we call the PDP, and the preferred schematic report, which follows the PDP, which we call the PSR. But module 3 on MSBA's website goes over and explains everything that MSBA is looking for in each of those submissions. But overall, in general, in the preliminary design program, they'll be looking, they want us to include the statement of interest that got you into the process with MSBA, the pipeline. They'll look at the design enrollment that you had agreed to, and we'll make a budget statement narrative in regards to what the city thinks that they can afford moving forward for a project, and look at an overall project schedule. Then in terms of the educational program, as I said before, the big focus will be on developing the educational program. And from what I'm understanding, we will start with the Thurgood Marshall as the basis for that educational program. It will be worthwhile to take a look at it and see where things have gone in education over the last 6-7 years to see if there's any slight modifications needed in that regard. But as I said, we do have a good basis based on the Thurgood Marshall project. And as you could see before, it goes through every aspect of the educational plan, and we'll look at that. Then with the architect on board, we'll take a look at the existing school floor plans and what the existing square footages and spaces are. That's a requirement of MSB. We have to fill that out on this space summary sheet that we have to do. And then we work with the districts to determine what the needs for the school are, and work to establish square footages for each of those space needs. And we'll compare that against MSBA's guidelines for middle schools in terms of what they think a middle school should have for square footages. And this is all done on the MSBA space summary template. So any differences between the educational program that we establish and MSBA guidelines has to be explained in the report as well. And as you remember, the vocational programs that are in the Thurgood Marshall were slightly different than what MSBA has for guidelines for middle schools. And we were able to successfully explain that last time around about the need for it. And they were allowed us to have those spaces, and they participated in the funding of them. We have to do an in-depth existing conditions evaluation of the existing school. So we'll do that. And we also have to provide the parameters or the guidelines for the site development of the new school site, which will set those up by working with the various departments in the city. Part of this also is to do some preliminary alternatives for not only the site, but the building layouts. So we'll look at that. And at the end of all of this, there's a whole series of local actions and approvals that have to take place in order for us to submit the preliminary design program. I don't know if anybody has any questions on any of this. I know it's a lot, but I thought it might be worthwhile to introduce it to you to begin with tonight, so that we can hit the ground running when RDA is on board. Okay, hearing no questions. Go ahead.
Question.
Yes.
Do you have any recommendations, like while we're in this process, like for the elected officials as a school committee member? I know myself, member Gately, like I feel like right now we're gaining, there's so much to digest in this process. What should we be doing? What do you recommend in terms of just for we could be proactive? Like, I feel like right now I would like to figure out a way to, this is a lot of like information that we're trying to process here, and I've been reading what you've been sending, but when will we be most, I guess, active, I guess, in the timeline, so we could prepare for that?
First of all, I would recommend that you go to the MSBA website. The website and the location of the feasibility study module information is included in the packet that I sent to you. I think that's a good starting point to understand what we have to get through in the preliminary design program phase. But as part of that phase, we will also break this group down into smaller groups. I believe last time we put together an educational planning subcommittee, and then we did a site selection subcommittee as well. And we'll take a couple of volunteers from the SBC to meet with those groups so that we can focus more on both the educational program in one meeting, and then site selection in the other. We have to go through this process, and I know that we did a lot of evaluation during the last time when we were submitting for Pickering, but I think it'll be worthwhile to revisit those options that we looked at the last time and see how it may have changed over time. But we will have to provide a series of options in this first phase. And from the preliminary design program phase, we'll narrow those options down to what the preferred one is. And that will be the culmination of the preferred schematic report.
I appreciate that, because as I'm thinking forward, the public engagement plan, I'm already getting questions from the public, and I feel like you get the public, they could speculate sometimes, and I try to direct them to our website and like that fact sheet. I think we do have a strategy, a marketing strategy. I know we talked about. So in the early stages, I think continuing, I think my recommendation is to continue to make sure that we do update that fact sheet every time we have a meeting. I know we post our meetings, we post the updates, but I think also just breaking it down to like public layman terms too, like just making it easy to follow. It's not an easy process, and I don't think it's meant to be easy, but as an elected official, I just, as I do communicate this to my constituents and people involved in this process, it is really complicated. So if I feel like it's complicated, I can imagine like other folks who it impacts is, failing. So I just want to.
What we will do very early on is go through an educational visioning process. And that what we've been doing lately is having educational visioning forums with the general public. And we've been doing it on Zoom, and it's worked really well because a lot of people tend to attend that way, as opposed to trying to do them in person. And the gentleman that RDA is using for the educational visioning is David Stephen, and he's with New Vista Design, does a really good job with engaging the public. So we will have a forum just on the educational visioning for the school during the development of the educational program. And we do plan to have other public forums throughout the process to let them know where we are in terms of the various options that we're looking at and what our analyses are as we start to narrow those options down.
Yeah, I remember, Castellanos, just to pipe in, I think it's a great question. I think, one of the things I find helpful just every time we do this is that the last slide that's in this deck about the overall calendar and timeline. I think it's a nice breakdown of what we're going through and kind of what step we're at. And I think reminding folks that all we've done so far is, well, first we picked a project manager. We just picked the architect. That was Tuesday. And now we're starting the process of working with the architect to figure out exactly what we want and where we want to put it. And then that'll have to get approved.
And we'll definitely be doing public forums along the way so that they know, what we've been doing and where we are in the process.
Thank you.
Next up, just want to quickly talk about the next school building committee. We currently have that scheduled for October 12th. Does anybody see any issues with that date? And as I said before, we'll look to bring the architect on for introduction of his team at that next meeting. If everybody's good with the 12th, we'll proceed with that date. Just wanted to quickly show you again where we are within the process. Oops, one ahead too fast. We just finished the DSP review on September 13th, and we're looking to execute the contract by October 7th and have RDA join us on the 12th. And we're looking to do a quick turnaround on the preliminary design program and make that submission on January 18th of 2023. So those are the next steps. We're going to be moving quickly, even though when you see it, 15 months, it's not, doesn't seem quick, but it goes by very fast, and there's a lot of information that we have to cover in that time frame. But we are targeting, having our process complete by the MSBA board's vote on December 20th, 2023. And then all of this is in preparation of construction and hoping to be in the ground with early construction work in the summer of 2024 and complete by the summer of 2026. So I don't know if anybody has any other business or discussions or new business. I put this up just to remind people, we do have a project website. We're posting everything to that website, and then the meetings are being posted to the YouTube channel. Anybody have any questions?
Need a motion to adjourn?
Before you adjourn, I just want to make sure that I apologize for coming in late, Jim Ridley. So I just want to make sure that I get credited for my attendance.
We got you. Thank you. Okay, everybody. Does anybody second the motion to adjourn?
Second.
Do we
Mike
want to do a roll call or?
I think
is-
technically we're supposed to do a roll call for a virtual meeting, but I'm comfortable doing a voice vote if everyone else is.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's good.
All right.
Second it.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. We're really excited. This is great news about the architect. I think we're moving right along. Thank you, Lynn, and your team for everybody's work. I think we have the team in place now with the project manager and the architect to be signed shortly. So now is the exciting part where we actually sort of dig into this and come up with a great plan that we can all be really excited about. So thank you, everybody, for all your help so far. Excited to be working with you in this next step.
All right,
Thank
have a good night.
Have a great night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
night.
you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night.
All right. Get out of this.